Have you been wanting to see your favorite carnivore recipes in cookbook form? Then boy do I have the proposition for you. I've started an Indiegogo campaign. These funds will allow me to get this book out much quicker than I could otherwise. If you're interested in seeing what the perks are, check out the link in my description below or go to www.indiegogo.com/at/CarnivorousChef. Hey there, my meaty friends. This is Reed, aka CarnivorousChef. I needed a small escape from my ground pork rind heaven for a bit. So, my goal with this recipe was simplicity, value, and flavor, and this achieves it fully. I could think of at least 5 variations on this recipe right off the bat, so feel free to play around with it. Add different seasonings, different wines, and the sort. Anyways, let's finger moonwalk into this piece and get started. Oh yeah, smooth. Let me grab something real quick. I picked chicken thighs because it's high in protein and chicken thighs. It's also just super cheap. Let me grab my travel oven and get that set up real quick. Go ahead and blast this over medium-high heat. I suggest you use cast iron for this one because it's definitely going to help with the crustification of our skins. The chicken skins, not your skins. Remove the grocery store wrapper off your chicken. This pan should really be slightly smoking, but I'm impatient. This one can hold 6 fairly large chicken thighs. Place them skin side down so we can get a real nice sear, Clark. You're going to want to season these up as well. I probably went with about a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt per chicken thigh. It's a little hard to tell, but since I'm going to be cooking these in a seasoned sauce, I'm not too worried about the exact measurements here. You could think a big pinch per thigh and it'll likely be enough. I also went with some black pepper on each one. 5 to 6 twists of some fresh cracked black pepper should be plenty. That's small pinches per chicken thigh for those of you using already ground pepper. Now we do the stand around and wait game. Here are the rules if you want to play this at home. Rule number 1, stand around. Rule number 2, make sure the kitchen isn't on fire. Rule number 3, rule number 4, wait. If you break rule number 2, you've lost the game. After playing this game for about 5 minutes, my chickies are ready to flip. They should all flip fairly easily. If one is stuck, it's still searing, and that one needs to sit a little longer on the hot surface. Once they're all flipped, sear them on the other side for just a minute, and we need to move them to a plate to work on the sauce. There's a ton of chicken fat here. While that sounds nice, it's going to make for a greasy sauce that'll break later on. Take you a couple paper towels and remove about 85% of the fat. Like all of my recipes, it's highly important that you hit exactly 85% absorption of the fat. Failure to do so will result in breaking rule 2. Next up, grab some white wine. Nothing too fancy, just something drinkable. With your pan off, add in a 1/2 cup and begin scraping the bottom of the pan to remove the fond, or the bits that are stuck to the bottom of the pan for those of you who don't know what that is. This is just extra flavor. Your pan should be plenty hot enough if you're using cast iron. After about 30 seconds of scraping, turn your heat to medium and let the rest of the alcohol cook out for about 30 more seconds. Added 1.5 cups of chicken broth or stock, followed by 1 cup of heavy cream. Bring this to a light boil and reduce it until it's just simmering. Keep an eye on it because it will boil over if you're not careful. Add in a 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic. Mix it in and give it a taste. I added 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt into mine, and then followed it up with about 20 twists of black pepper or about a 1/2 teaspoon. Spoon this with all your might and then give it a taste. Adjust as you see fit. You'll know this is thick enough if it coats the back of a spoon. It's finally time to place your chicken thighs back into this creamy slop. When you place them in, keep them skin side up this time. Skin side down will result in a very sad Reed, aka CarnivorousChef. You don't want to make me sad, do you? You'll really make me sad if you don't add in the juices left on the plate. This is the vanilla extract of the chicken. Once it's simmering again, you can turn the heat off and get ready to place it in the oven. Now, I'm fortunate to be able to have an option for 2 ovens. However, this pan weighs like 35 pounds now, so carefully place it in. Cook this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius for 30 to 35 minutes or until the chicken reads 180 degrees Fahrenheit or 82 degrees Celsius at the bone. You want to cook dark meat to a higher temp because it allows for the connective tissue to break down and become more tender. Now, this skin is crispy. So crispy, my first instinct was to touch it. Just listen. Sounds like eggshells. And the sauce looks like sauce. Top this with parsley or chives if you want a nice presentation. I couldn't find chives, so I went with parsley. The chives would have been nicer, but you gotta work with what you got. I'm embarrassed to say that this took me about 6 tries to get 1 piece of chicken out of the pan. But as you see, I did it. Top that with a few spoons of your sauce afterwards. This plate's a bit too big to make showing it off look awesome, but I think it still looks pretty damn good. I'm ready to dig in and take this first bite for my Patreon community. Felt tender to cut, looks deeply caramelized and juicy, and damn, is it good. Rich and creamy, tender and juicy, and a few more adjectives. You could be rich and creamy too if you like the video and subscribe to the channel.